Well, there are a lot of youngsters who are interested in science who go and see science films. Now, the problem with science fiction films is many of them are scientifically not accurate, and therefore the students end up getting quite often wrong idea about what is correct physics or not. So it is good to have science and science fiction films so that it creates interest in science, but it is also equally important that somebody explains the subtleties of the liberty that filmmaker has taken from correct science so that they get a comprehensive view. So I think science film festivals are of great importance to youngsters and to budding scientists. The number of students pursuing pure science is decreasing, and that's of course an area of great concern. On the other hand, government has now started several schemes. So there is this ICER, from the 7 or 8 ICERs which have been designed, just as IITs were designed 40 years ago to create engineers for India, ICERs have been designed to create scientists for India. So the government is conscious. So a lot of things are being done to encourage young students to take science. But the problem with science is that there is place only for excellence. You can be an average engineer, you can be an average doctor, but you can't be an average scientist. So science is made for those who are committed to science, who are willing to give in their heart and soul and excel in that. And that is the kind of quality of people we need. And we hope that such students will go to ICERs and NICERs and be given proper good training in science. And we hope that the next generation of scientists that we need will come out from this. India is a wonderful country in the sense that right from our independence, we have decided that we want the country to be projected as a knowledge country, as a science-based country. So we have research institutions practically in every field of science that you can think of. Everything from wood technology, leather technology, to shipbuilding, to astronomy, astrophysics, to pure sciences, to applied sciences, to high power physics, to low power physics, whatever subject of science that you can think of, there are research institutions and research experts in India. So we already have the necessary infrastructure to become a science power. What we need is young, enthusiastic minds to do that. And like I said, the problem with science is that it only has place for excellence. You can be an average doctor, an average engineer, but you cannot be an average scientist. So we need to have this culture of pushing for excellence right from the beginning, and excellence requires full-time commitment. See, many people forget that life is a marathon, it is not a 100-meter dash. So they prepare for this 100-meter dash, SSC top ranker, 12th standard top ranker, this gold medal, that gold medal early in life, and then they get burnt out. And they rarely make it into the real core of science, because what a medal or a first place in a university requires is that you should be able to deliver a handful of information in the question paper at the time the exam is taken. To be a good scientist, you need not only to understand what you have been taught, but how it connects with the real world, how it is important to the real world, how does real world affect a given situation, or how from what you have learned, what you see appears. All that needs to be connected, all that knowledge needs to be put together in order to become a good scientist. For example, we all know about friction, etc. But if I were to ask somebody as to why is it easier to bicycle on a hard road than a sandy road, it would require some thinking. Okay, it requires you to put in a whole bunch of concepts together, and that is what good scientists do. They can understand, they put together all that, and that requires hard work and full-time commitment. There is no such thing as a part-time scientist. Okay, so if your aim in life is to have party and go for parties and make lots of money and have a good social life, please don't even think of science. If you want to commit to science, please make sure that you commit to it at the exclusion of everything else, and that you are willing to sit and look at science in its totality, and all that happens around you should be understandable and explainable to you to science. If you want to bring in God to make various things happen for you, forget it. If God ever existed, as Christianity says, at the seventh day He created the universe, all the laws of working of nature, and then has disappeared. And what you need to understand is the way the nature works. There is nothing supernatural about it, there is nothing extraordinary about it. It's just a question that our knowledge is limited. And the purpose of science is to increase this knowledge that we have, and to do that we need to understand a lot. Science has been formulas for last 500 years. So if you think your 10th standard or 11th standard science is enough to make you start doing research, or if that you have discovered something fundamentally different from what everybody else had thought, think twice. because chances are that you have really not understood the totality of the complex idea that makes science today, and therefore you are overstepping yourself. Studying all the time and thinking all the time is the only thing that works. No scientist anywhere in the universe was ever born a genius. Everybody became a genius by working hard. If you're willing to commit to that, by all means, there is no other field like science, because you have a variety. If for 5 years as a scientist, if you're doing the same thing, you are wrong. There's something wrong. There is always novelty. There is always variety. A bank manager every year simply adds the amount of money that he got today and lost yesterday. A scientist never does the same thing for more than a year or two. So there is variety, there is excitement, there is knowledge, there is learning, there is a possibility of him making impact on science and all that. It's a beautiful field. I would not give it up for anything else in the universe. But it requires full-time commitment. You cannot be a part-time scientist and you cannot be a part-time researcher.